Welcome to the Sustainable Success Show, where we share real-world ideas, strategies, and systems to help you build success that lasts in business and life. Each episode delivers practical insights you can apply immediately without burnout, chaos, or short-term fixes that don't scale. At the foundation is emotional intelligence and effective communication, how you lead yourself and how you connect with others across personalities, generations, and cultures, because that's where trust, engagement, and performance are created. I'm Christopher Salem, your host, and this is where sustainable success becomes your competitive advantage. Hi, welcome to Sustainable Success. I'm your host, Chris Salem. We want to welcome any new listeners to the show. You found us here, not only on YouTube, but we're also on Apple, Spotify, as well as Amazon Music and iHeart. And we also encourage everybody to follow us on Facebook at Sustainable Success 2017. Now, our show has been around for almost 9 years. It's hard to believe it's been that long. And we recently, in January, went to a new format. We went to a half an hour format from our original hour that we had been for quite a long time. But the reason is we know that a lot of people like to digest information in smaller chunks. So we went to the half an hour platform, and now you can actually see us and watch us on video on the YouTube channel at Christopher R. Salem. So we encourage everybody to do that. Follow us there at Christopher R. Salem, and then also on our Facebook page at Sustainable Success 2017. And of course, you can subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeart, whatever you prefer. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it is a membership program taking out all the noise out of social media. You get to generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, we're going to be talking about something that, as you all know, especially the original listeners that have been with us for almost 9 years, I'm a big proponent and fan of emotional intelligence. We've covered this area many, many times. And being a business communication expert and professional keynote speaker in this area and how I incorporate EQ, we're going to be talking about that today. And we have the right subject matter expert that will be sharing insights here. We're going to be talking about how emotional intelligence transforms leadership and culture. And we're going to be here today with Dr. Wayne D. Wilson. He is an executive coach, culture strategist, and leadership catalyst with over 30 years of experience across corporate leadership, psychotherapy, and organizational development. He coached senior leaders in healthcare, transportation, and mission-driven sectors to align performance with purpose and lead with emotional intelligence. As the former director of organizational development at Snider Fleet Solutions and a founder of Snider University, Wayne is recognized for helping teams pivot through change and embed trust-driven, values-based leadership at every level. His bold yet empathetic coaching style helps executives elevate retention, engagement, and leadership impact, especially during transitions or high-stress periods. And boy, we've had quite a few of those over the last almost 6 years now. And without further ado, we welcome Dr. Wayne Wilson to the show. Wayne, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Wow, is that me?
That was you.
How about that? Wow.
Well, we always like to start the show, Dr. Wayne, with what you're going to talk about here today, the foundation behind it. You, the individual that has experienced it, immersed yourself into this area, and now helping so many leaders and high performers, as well as organizations in and around implementing and integrating EQ into leadership, team development, as well as building robust workplace cultures. If you could share the background and foundation from your perspective, what you're going to be sharing today with us.
Well, it comes from my background. So I spent the first portion of my career, I went to graduate school to go to seminary. So I went really in broadcast communications, to be interestingly enough, and pivoted. When I was doing a Master's of Divinity at Southern Seminary, I was doing it in uh, Christian broadcasting and communications, and I pivoted into pastoral care. And the story of that sheds some light to what we're talking about. So I'll do that very briefly.
Yeah.
The reason that I pivoted from the School of Education to the School of Pastoral Care and Counseling had nothing to do with the content, Chris.
Wow.
I took some pastoral care and counseling classes, just as a prerequisite, and I remember the day I came home and had tears in my eyes, and I sat at the kitchen table. I was probably 26, 27 years old. I looked my wife in the eye and said, I'm not sure who the men in this department are. I'm not sure who these guys are. I'm not exactly sure what they do, but I want to be like them. I just wanted to be around them. I wanted to study with them. I wanted to pick their brain. I wanted to be like them, the kind of men they were when I got to their age. And that is the essence of leadership. That's what level 5 leadership is, right?
I love how you said that, level 5. I love it.
That's the term used in From Good to Great. Jim Collins uses the term level 5 leadership.
Yeah.
Level 5 leadership is when people follow you because they want to be around you, right? John Maxwell says leadership is influence. And if those things are true, then what my seminary professor, Dr. Wayne Oates, my mentor, and the guy who taught me all about the value of emotional intelligence in leadership, Dr. Wayne Oates, he looked at me one time, Chris pointed his finger at me as a 27-year-old kid and said, Wayne, no one cares what you know till they know that you care. And two, you need to work on yourself because who you are is far more important than anything you'll ever do.
Yeah.
And boy, 40 some years later, and a career later in psychotherapy, doing marriage and family therapy, guiding individuals and couples and families through the most difficult times in their lives, doing that for 20 some years, then transferring into corporate life. Snider Fleet Solutions is a 1,000 employee company over 11 states. It's a large corporation doing all the talent management, doing all the executive coaching for them, and now guiding and coaching executives all over the country. It's still true. It has absolutely the foundation of emotional intelligence, and the contribution into leadership is what I think Stephen Covey, not Stephen Covey, Stephen M.R. Covey, but Stephen Covey, who passed away, said character counts.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He built his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People on the premise character counts. It's the essence of what you and I are going to talk about today. It matters. It's the foundation because who you are is more important than what you do. No one cares what you know until they know you care, and character counts.
Love it. And so let's dive into that for, those leaders or aspiring leaders that are listening right now, and those that'll be listening on demand here, as this show is up and available to view and listen. Why do emotional intelligent leaders, why would they outperform technically brilliant ones in retention results? What is that EQ quote, that quote and that they have that connects deeper with other people, despite different personalities, generational and cultural and ethnic types?
Collaboration rather than resistance.
Yeah.
They leverage collaboration versus resistance.
Yeah. Resistance is what hinders productivity. Resistance is what leads to a lack of retention. And what you just said undoes all that.
Well, it's a simple evening in front of the news makes it obvious that that resistance is not the key source of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Our political leaders end up in tug of war and they can't get anything done.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter which side you're on. You can't get anything done because you can't collaborate and you can't accomplish things. So you end up playing tug of war. Now it's a power struggle, and it's about who can achieve more power and who can win. And that ends up burning a lot of energy, a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of energy. You just can't get things done. And if you lead from a position of power rather than collaboration, you're going to spend a lot of money. You're going to leverage it. You're going to go through a lot of people. You're going to burn a lot of equity, relational equity. It's expensive and it's exhausting, and it's just not. If John Maxwell is right, leadership is influence, and if Stephen Covey was right, and character counts. If you ignore the emotional, relational components of leadership, you're going to push the rock uphill every time.
No, you're so true. And you shared that with me. What really resonated with me there is when you said, what you quoted, John Maxwell, leadership is influence. Influence is when you share something and it empowers someone to see it within themselves. What are they going to do with it and take action? So you influence them to do something that's going to serve them. That means you're an example of that. And when you said character, where Stephen Covey talks about character is, again, being consistent and being the example of that leadership, how you communicate to yourself and others, your behavior, your attitude, your emotions, and how you respond versus react to your action. And then when you're resourceful, that's what I took when you said that. That's what hit home for me, and why that's so powerful for any leader over someone that's not.
And why is being resourceful? Why did that resonate with you? What connected with you about that?
What connected with me is that even though there are a lot of codependent people out there, my problems are because of what's going on in the world or everything around me or this. Where I work, if they were only to give me this, I could be better at this. But emotionally intelligent leaders know how to adapt to what is, not what they think it should be. They work with what they can control. So I love that when a leader can be consistent and adapt to what is and being the example for that, even though people may not like it at first, they take it, they begin to say, well, hey, if he's doing it or she's doing it, maybe this isn't my ideal situation, but I'm going to make the most of it and maximize what I can with what I can control. That's what stood out to me when you said that.
I'll take you a step further. I'll trump you. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I'll take you a step further. I think the true value of emotional intelligence is that they can actually operate from clarity.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get clarity.
Oh no.
Unless so the definition that I love of emotional intelligence, the organization EQI that I use as an instrument for emotional intelligence testing, EQI 2.2, their definition of emotional intelligence is awareness of your emotions and others.
Yep.
And the ability to act proactively on those emotions. Awareness of your emotions and other people's emotions, and the ability to act proactively in light of those emotions.
Yeah.
I think if you don't have that, you don't have clarity.
No, you're just, it's like throwing gas. If somebody's angry and now you react from it, what is that going to make? Ain't going to make anything better.
Well, I was in this conversation with an executive 2 days ago. I said, tell me what your employees are going to think of you and or the kind of power and influence you're going to have in their in their lives to influence them. If you are clearly angry as hell, you are just fire angry, and somebody says, well, what's wrong? And you say, nothing. And they go, well, why are you so mad? I'm not angry. I'm not angry. And they kind of cock their head and go, what? And now you're cussing everybody out and you're yelling and screaming. And at the same time, you're saying, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. Are they going to trust you? Are they going to work with you? Are they going are they going to engage with you? No, they're going to hide from you. They're going to, right? You're not going to see things clearly if you don't even know what's going on with yourself.
Yeah. So true. What you said, you got to understand your emotions and as well as others so it allows you to respond, not react, you know.
That's
Yeah.
the true value of EQI.
Yeah.
That's the true value of emotional intelligence is you have clarity. There's clarity, there's calm, there's focus, that you understand what's going on with somebody else, you understand what's going on with you. And again, in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Covey says the highest achievement of effective relationships is what he calls synergy. The third alternative, working together could create something that no one had ever thought of before, is the highest end result of cooperation and collaboration. If you don't have a sense of what other people are thinking and feeling, and you don't even know what you're thinking and feeling, you don't have any clarity.
Yeah, that's true. So true. Wow. Great insights here, what you're sharing here. I wanted, how do we, if we're looking at, if we're dealing with people, how do we listen for what's not being said? Let's say somebody, a lot of people will say things, but sometimes we might we might hear them, but we're not really listening to understand. We're not
This
pausing.
is
Yeah.
such a really good question. So good for you for asking this question. I'll point to 2 things. And in a coaching session, we would deep dive this, but in today's podcast, I'll point to 2 things. One, um, we don't listen to understand. We listen to respond. We're just arguing. We're not really having a conversation. So one, we must listen in order to understand. We must truly listen in such a way that we know what the other person is thinking. We understand their rationale, and we understand what they're feeling. So we master the art of listening. It's called active listening in the communication world, right? And that's your wheelhouse, right? So we're actively listening to the other person. And then 2, the second thing is use your eyes to listen, not just your ears.
Absolutely. Please expand on that, because I think so many people think, active listening is just hearing, but it's also with our eyes.
Well, I learned this as a marriage therapist. Watching couples argue for years. I'd heard husband after husband after husband say, "Well, I can't read her mind." Well, actually, you can. If you open your eyes and read her body language, you can tell exactly what she's thinking.
Twitter are usually good, really good about giving cues that way.
Everybody is. Everybody is.
Yeah.
But you have to learn that listening is an art of hearing and watching. Right? In words, meaning, and body language are the 3 components of communication. And the body language is as important in understanding what's going on with somebody else, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what's important to them, why it's important, as what they're saying and the tone of their voice. And so we must, to be effective leaders, it's called read the room. We must learn to read the room. And that's just a matter of being observant.
Yeah.
And that's a skill. You practice it. We practice it in coaching all the time.
Yeah.
You learn to look around. What did you see in each person, right? What was their facial expression? What was their body posture? How do you interpret that? What do you think that means? This is a skill that people can master. And if you can learn to use your eyes to listen as effectively as you use your ears, then you can be a powerful communicator, and you can really, really get clarity very, very quickly.
Yeah. And that's the thing, with clarity, you can't wait for clarity to come from somewhere else that you can't control. You can never control other people and situations. So that clarity's got to start with you as the sender or the receiver of the communication. Love what you just said there. And you, like you said, when there's clarity, you through the EQ, you can now really actively listen, not only with your ears, but your eyes, sensory acuity. And when somebody says, "Hey, how you feeling?" "I'm okay." And they're doing this and they're like, "I'm okay." Well, their body language and their tone of voice contradicted what they said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're either not telling yourself the truth or you're not telling me the truth.
Exactly.
Nothing's not right here.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. No, really great information we shared. And how about the empathy to performance connection? If you could share, some insights there, maybe a real case study that you've personally worked with, a client on a culture shift to, in a burned out healthcare organization. I believe that you worked with, and if you could share some, you don't have to share the name of the company, of course, you could just share some of the key areas that shifted for them.
I've worked in 3 hospital systems. I worked in one for 18 years. My son is a surgeon. Hospital environments drive people. They drive people to exhaustion out of benevolence because of a commitment to the mission. And I was one of those people. And I drove myself to exhaustion in a healthcare system for the sake of the mission. And the system allowed me to do it, not because they were greedy or insensitive, but because no one really was stopping long enough to say, "Are you okay? You look tired. You seem short. Your decisions are different than they were 3 months ago." That's empathy. That's paying attention.
Yeah.
That's paying attention to another person in such a way to say, "Chris, are you okay? Something's off." And when we don't do that, we just keep driving and driving and driving and driving, and the culture becomes one of performance over quality. Quality of care drops, trust drops, and eventually it falls apart. And I've lived it. That's why I'm passionate about it, and that's why I've devoted the gray years of my life to coaching out of these perspectives, because burnout is costly. It's so costly.
It absolutely is. It costs, I mean, it costs in so many different ways. And I think a lot of times just organizations don't see the bigger picture. They don't see how those dots connect in a negative way that are, costing them a lot of money, and where the EQ now becomes so important as the foundation that can reverse a lot of those issues.
But it does require a long-term, I will say this, it does require a long-term view. Corporations that are quarterly report focused are not culture focused.
Yeah.
They're just not. And you have to be long-term focused to value culture and want to have
Absolutely.
a sustainable culture of high performance, high productivity over a long period of time.
So true. So true. It's a process that these things don't happen overnight. A 2-hour mini workshop is not going to solve it, but it will create awareness, of course, and maybe get people to start maybe thinking, but now it's got to be something that they commit to and be consistent over time to see that the fruits of their efforts.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. As we get near the end of the show, I just wanted to kind of see if you could, share with us to tie everything together that you've talked about, to connect the dots for those leaders listening right now. What would be that the first thing they can take action they could take with themselves now to start becoming that, empathic, the empathetic leader, using EQ, starting with themselves, to now show up to be that example every day for the people they serve?
Number one, why are you leading? Why are you leading? In order to lead a sustainable culture, you must care about the people in your organization. If you are leading for purely financial outcome reasons. I see this all the time, and I have hundreds and hundreds of conversations about private equity environments and cultures and how they end up focused on quick financial gains and flips, right? And you can't build a sustainable long-term culture in that environment. You can't do it. You can't do it. So you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. And so you got to get clear on that as a leader. What is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? 2, you've got to be a little bit self-reflective, right? You've got to be willing to do a little bit of personal work. And so you've got to be willing to spend a little bit of time being aware of what's going on with you and have some clarity on that and how that affects you and then other people as well. And then some awareness of what's going on with other people. And those things, a clarity about your why and a genuine desire to impact and influence other people's lives and to have quality of life yourself have to be priorities for you. If you have that, you can build a high performance, sustainable, long-term culture. You can. It's doable. You can do that, but you have to know your why and you have to care about yourself and other people.
Wow. That is powerful and such great information. Hope leaders, you're taking note, and we encourage you to go back and listen to this episode again to what Dr. Wayne shared. There's so many great golden nuggets that he outlined for you. Dr. Wayne, I know we're near the end of the show, and I want to make sure that the audience knows how to get in contact with you to get more information. But before we do that, I want to thank you personally for taking time out of your busy day to be with us here today, and the rest of our team here at Sustainable Success. We want to thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was an honor to be here.
Absolutely. And let our audience know, how can they get in contact with you? What are you up to, and anything that you'd like to share or provide them?
I am focusing on my LinkedIn content and presence right now. Putting some energy into that. So go to LinkedIn, find me at Dr. Wayne Wilson, is my LinkedIn connection link. So go find me on LinkedIn, and then if you want to just book a conversation, I start all my coaching engagements just with a conversation, just to what's happening with you, what do you want, and how might I help you? And that's a free 30-minute consultation, and you can book that with me at coachdrwayne.com. www.coachdrwayne.com. No period after doctor. And let's just have a chat. Let's just find out what's going on here.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure, everybody, that all of Dr. Wayne's contact information is in the show notes, so you'll be able to access that from the links as well. And for any reason, if you reach out to us, we'll make sure to connect you with Dr. Wayne. And again, we highly encourage you to do that. Connect with him on LinkedIn. That way you could be able to, follow and engage in the content that he shares on the very things that he discussed with you here today. I wish we had more time, and we will definitely have Dr. Wayne on a future show to elaborate further to what we discussed here today. Thank you again, Wayne, for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
And listeners, we want to thank you each and every week joining us here at Sustainable Success. Again, we are committed to helping you and your business get to the next level by bringing in subject matter experts like Dr. Wayne in to share their insights, personal experience to help you make that happen. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you here next time, Friday at 12 noon East Coast time, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Till then, take care.